Okay, Mel, our listeners who listen to our podcast might actually want a podcast that has helpful tips for how to move through grief. And we have just the thing for them.
A Widowed Mom podcast hosted by Krista St. Germain.
We've had Krista on our podcast, and Krista is a certified life coach and a mom, and she teaches manageable and small steps and techniques to help uncover what's holding you back and show you how to create a future you can actually look forward to. You might not believe it yet, but you can move through your grief and live a life you love.
Krista's podcast is found on every podcast platform, so check it out, The Widowed Mom Podcast. You guys, I can't believe that, first of all, Anita is alive.
Well,
I'm always surprised that I'm alive.
I was going to say, I'm always surprised I'm alive too, but for different reasons. We took a little break and now we're back, and we just got to talk about all of the things that have occurred.
And before we do that, thank you so much to everybody who heard our little super quick summer update where we said, things have happened, we'll be back in July, and for sending us messages of support and for not being upset with us. Thank you so much, because we always feel like we want to help the widowed world so much. And it's so hard when things like have just happened, have come up, and it kind of derails that. So thank you for that, for your patience and love and support. And we love all of you guys, and we're back.
Yes. Thank you for your understanding, because like Mel said, we feel like this responsibilities, then we feel like we're falling down on the job, even though like nobody gave us this job. We just decided to have it. So
yeah. But I mean, nobody decided to be widows in our group, at least. So
that's true. Okay, Mel, should we talk about our lives and what has been going on?
Yeah, we're going to give you guys some updates of why we needed a break and what's been going on with us. I'm going to go first because Anita has the bulk of the situation.
Just bad timing.
They all happened at the same time.
It was weird. Yeah.
It was not okay. Okay, well, the thing that happened in my life was super weird. And there is death that I'm going to mention. It's not human death, so that's good. But it does involve pet death, so sorry about that. You have been warned. So as a lot of you know, I have 3 dogs. Finn, who's a Weimaraner, Scotty, who's a Vizsla, and Jersey, who is a Boston Pug mix. Scotty's 8, Finn is 7, Jersey is 6.
Jersey is 6?
She's 6.
I still think of her as a puppy.
Me too. I got her during COVID, and I feel like that just deleted years. Yeah. So I look at her and I'm like, oh, you're 3. That's nice. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, you're not. So all of my dogs have been very healthy. The only issues that we've had is that Scotty gets in the garbage sometimes, which has been bad. And Finn had to have an eye surgery. He had cataract surgery and a retinal reattachment. And before y'all say that's insane to do for a dog, I get it, why people would say that. But at the same time, the reason that I have my dogs is because when Scott died, I had nothing to live for. Yeah, Scotty, the Vizsla, is my person. And he was so much of my person that I'm like, I got to get him a dog so that he
needs a person too.
Yeah, he needs to like run around, because I mean, as I was going along in the world of grieving and of recovering from a car accident that was the year before Scott's death, it was just a really long recovery, really complex. It was becoming apparent to me that in order for me to give them the exercise that they needed, I was not up to the task all the time. And so I got Finn for Scotty. So they were brothers. They had a great life, adventures. When I moved from Utah to New York, they went with me. Like they've had a ton of really fun things that they've done. And we did dog agility. I just put everything I had in my soul into the dogs because, again, I did not want to live. And as a lot of people listening are maybe dealing with right now or have, in the earlier days of the podcast, we talked a lot about passive suicidality, which is the thing where you're like, I'm not going to do something, but I really wish I could get hit by a bus right now. Or I remember just always like thinking, okay, maybe, please, is my time over yet? I've suffered enough. I'm ready to be gone. And I'd keep waking up every day and it's like, oh, okay, I guess I got to keep trying. And I mean, that was like a good chunk of time. So it's not like, oh, here's 1 year and you're really sad and depressed for this 1 year. It's like, I mean, let's talk about going on 6-7 years. Those are very chronic. So us starting the podcast was part of us helping to figure ourselves out too, and do something with like this stuff that we'd been dealt. So anyway, my dogs hold a very special place in my heart because, I mean, everybody's dogs do, but even more so maybe than before I had the death stuff, because they filled a hole, or they at least put some padding in there so I could deal with the hole. Now, fast forward, I got the third dog, Jersey, because of COVID. Because when COVID happened, I was driving back across the country from New York back to Utah. And I had started healing in New York because I was doing new things. I just had different situations going on. And it just, like, my life and my brain just closed down on the drive back. Like, once I hit Colorado, I was like, uh-oh, I'm not okay. Oh, I know, I'll get a third dog and it'll be fine because it's small.
That will fix everything.
Yeah, and it's small. It's going to be fine. 3 dogs is a lot. I don't recommend it for everybody, but it was really great for COVID times because we weren't going anywhere. It was a little harder, you know, after things opened up and I was doing more things, you know, just logistically 3 is harder than 2. But that was our little pack. So now this happened a couple weeks ago. Finn has been totally healthy. All the dogs had just been to the vet. Everybody was fine. No problems. So healthy. Finn ran on a treadmill weekly because, of course, I got him a dog treadmill, not myself. That's how much I'm like, I don't care about me. I care about my dogs. One night I got home, sat down on the couch. I was about to like take a bite of my food and I look over and Finn just starts having a seizure. And I thought, uh-oh, okay. He's a big boy. He's 80 pounds. And I'm like, well, I've seen animals have seizures before. Like usually one will happen and then it'll, you know, will subside and then they kind of come to. And then who knows if another one's going to come. Maybe it will tomorrow. Maybe it will happen in 10 minutes. Who knows? You guys, it never stopped. There were like 2 phases to it. One was pretty like teeth gnashy and shaky. And then the other one was just like pedaling. Dogs, you know, looked like he was trying to swim, but his eyes like never showed that he could see or that he was there. Like it never entered that state of, okay, they're going to kind of come to and be exhausted. And it took me 45 minutes to get him into the car. And it was so violent. It like broke the couch apart.
Yeah.
He's so strong.
I can attest to this. That is one pure muscle dog. And when you told me this and I was imagining you trying to get him in the car, I was like, how did you do that? Because it's not like he was a docile being at that time, like moving and thrashing and anyway. Bleh.
Yeah. And it was difficult to get him, you know, because then he was stuck in the couch and I had to get him moved around the couch. But he was thrashing and he would continue to have, I don't know, I would say he had 6 to 7 of those cycles just nonstop in 45 minutes. It took me 45 minutes to get him to the vet. Getting him in the car was hilarious and horrifying. And then I thought, oh, well, he can thrash around in the back seat. Maybe it'll, you know, he'll be kind of leaned up against the back seat and I'll drive and it'll be fine. Oh no, because he was contorting and like falling under the seat and then his neck was getting stuck. So it's just like a whole situation. Finally got him there. And of course, like since COVID, a lot of veterinary clinics have closed, especially the emergency ones. So there was one that was open till 11. And of course, this happened at 10 p.m.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I get there.
Always.
I couldn't get him out, but it was just like he never stopped. He just never stopped. Nothing that they did anything. The anti-seizure medication, nothing. I knew when it never stopped after like the first couple minutes, I was like, I got to put him down. And I could tell that Scotty, his older brother, he was like, the little one, I don't know what was going through her head. She was trying to bite him. She's like, you're moving around, stop it. But Scotty,
you're disturbing me.
Yeah, Scotty made a noise I've never heard him make before, and then he was kind of like acting funny, but kind of curious. And I was like, oh, he knows. So I like stopped trying to get him to the car for a second, and I let him say goodbye. Anita, he's went up and he sniffed him, and it was so sad. Got into the vet, and I had to put him down. The only thing that stopped it was euthanasia, and it was like, they give them something before the euthanasia. That didn't do anything either. Like, I mean, hey, that guy, solid muscle. I cannot imagine how painful. By the time he died, it was 90 minutes start to finish. I can't imagine how painful that was. But yeah, that was pretty out of the blue. And we still don't know what happened. I have no idea. The vets have no idea. No one has any idea. Here was something where I was like, this is really ironic or weird to think about, but I was like, why is there not a pet 911? I'm like, I can't carry this. And in the middle of this, I'm like, I really got to think about my future. Because again, when I had to figure out how I would want to kind of live, I made this whole list of dogs that I wanted to have. And it was like 20 dogs, because I'm like, I'm sure I'll live to be 100 or whatever. So I got to have a long list. And I'm like, you know what? For practical reasons, like, I don't know how, if the dog is bigger than you and has something like that happen, I don't know how you'd do it. The only other thing, like, thank goodness that I could get him into the car eventually, because otherwise his body temperature was like 104, he would have just gone into organ failure, and then I would have like watched him die there. And
pleasant.
I don't want to do that. Anyway, Finn unfortunately died a couple days before his freaking birthday.
Oh.
He was 7 years old, but he was a typical Weimaraner. He was like the happiest guy. He loved trying to run with Anita one time.
He ate a dead bird.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do I do, Mel?
And I'm like, I don't know. You can't do anything. Good luck. He was a good boy, and he came to me in the worst time of my life. So I'm like, I will always be forever grateful for him. And I'm so glad that I still have Scotty in Jersey. But they were definitely grieving like hardcore for a while. So that happened, and it was interesting, the layers of grief that it exposed, I guess, or it took off some layers of healing, which I guess that happens to all of us. Like, we've been through stuff, and like when other things that are hard happen, even if they're not the same thing, it's just like padding is removed and it's raw. It brought me all the way back to when Scott had died. And just, it's like my brain will go back to that time, and it'll shuffle through all the memories chronologically. And I'll re-feel some of them again. And then was so sad. Anyway, I couldn't stop crying for a long time, like a couple weeks. And sometimes I feel dumb about that, but it's like, that's what I have. I don't have a family. They are my family. And yeah.
I think outsiders might be confused about it. They might be like, so what, Mel? But you're like, it's not so what. Like, this is a really big deal for me. So be nice. And yeah.
Everyone that has known about it has been so kind. The way that they spoke to me about it helped me to realize that they knew that I saw him as a family member. And so I was really appreciative for that. I don't know. I'm just trying to get through this life, guys. Really. What a good boy he was. And the others are missing him.
Raise a toast to Finn.
Yeah.
The good boy.
If you know a Weimaraner in your life, give him a hug. And if he were a person, he'd probably be a linebacker or a surfer that was just happy-go-lucky, and then a chunk of only muscle.
Yeah.
Hey guys, just checking in and want to say, if you are enjoying this podcast
and you want to see it keep going, maybe it's helped you through your widowhood journey and you think that it might help others on their widowhood journey, You can support that cause by joining our Patreon.
Some of the things that you get as a Patreon beneficiary are ad-free episodes, so you don't have to hear ads like this.
You also get exclusive content, and at a certain level, you might also get an exclusive t-shirt. You can only get that place.
That is true. It's pretty cool. There are 4 different tiers available, so check it out. It's patreon.com/WWDN.
And as an extra bonus, very often you get your names read by one of my kids, and they will do a terrible job with the pronunciation. And that's like a bonus, I think.
I think it's kind of the best. I would much rather hear somebody butcher my name than say it correctly.
A child butcher it than an adult do it correctly. Yep. So go to patreon.com/WWDN to keep our podcast going and support the widowed cause.
Yes. Thanks, guys. Back to our regularly scheduled program. So there you go. That was what happened in my life. But there were other things happening in Anita's life. Bing, bang, boom.
I mean, we've gone through, since we started the podcast, we've had lots of things happen. Like both of us have had really hard things happen, but it's like when one of us was not okay, the other one was like, okay, I got you. I'll do what needs to be done and we can keep things going. But it was like all of this converged at the same time. And it was like, neither of us are okay. We don't know what to do about this. So while Finn was dying, well, not really. That makes it sound like it took a long time. But yeah, in the same time frame, I've talked about my grandpa on the podcast before, I think. But I have this grandpa, he's 96. He's the coolest guy. He owns this little gas station in my hometown, in Mel and my hometown, rode his horse to work every day, still went to work. Just the coolest guy. And in March, he'd gotten the flu and he just like never really popped back to where he was before. And I helped take care of him in a few ways, and I have for 20 years. And so we're very, very close. And I'd been going to the doctor with him, and I kind of have this weird death intuition also. I don't know if it's because I do healthcare or what, but I was just like, I just don't think that he's gonna just keep spiraling and eventually he's gonna die. So he was hanging on. He's so cute. We'd go to the doctor and the doctor would say, Ron, how you doing? And he'd go, well, I'm doing pretty good, but I'm a liar. It came to the point where like he was pushing through. He was like sure he was going to be okay. He went back to work for one day, which I was so glad because I had to get my cars inspected. So he inspected my cars, but then he fell down and they had to take him back to the hospital and just wasn't doing well. And then one day he climbed into bed and he was like, I'm done. And he like just.
Did he say that?
Yeah.
He goes, I'm done.
Yeah. He's like, I'm done. And his body just like basically decided to shut down. And like he would sleep for like 22 hours a day. So it was a pretty stark, like he was doing pretty good and then just not doing well. So got him put on hospice, and the way he went was good because everybody got to come and talk to him and say goodbye to him. And he was still so sharp and with it. Like he just knew who everybody was. But when you had said that you wished like you would wake up and you're like, oh, I'm still alive. One day he woke up and he said to his son who was staying with him that night, he goes, Todd, something's wrong. And my uncle's like, what's wrong, Dad? And he goes, I'm not in the morgue. That's what he said to him.
And now we know where Randy Randall gets it.
And we know where I get it too. And then my sister Shauna stayed over with him one night and she just cuddled in bed with him. My grandma's been dead since 2011. So, he lives alone. And
no, he lived with dolls.
That's true. That's a whole other thing. We had to like get people to go stay over there with him. And my daughter was like, Mom, that house is full of dolls. And it's true because my grandma collected dolls. And some of them were spooky. And I have so many stories, Mel, about it. But Shauna climbed into bed with him that night. And when she got up in the morning, he was like, "Thanks, Shauna. It's been a long time since a pretty girl has willingly gotten into bed with me."
No.
And he knew he was being funny. And he was I mean, he was dying. He was actively dying. And he was 96, right? So, of course, a 96-year-old is supposed to die. But still, I was like, no, I need you to be here. You are my best good friend. And we just, he was just somebody who was really, really special to me. Anyway, so he got put on hospice on, I think it was a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And then what did Anita do? She went on a bike ride on Friday because that's what I do. And I was just having the best bike ride. And I decided to go a little further than I was going to originally. And I ended up on this new, well, it's not that new, but this downhill only trail. And I'm a very cautious bike rider because I don't want to be hurt. So usually I'm kind of a grandma, and I was going down this downhill trail, and I came behind a man who pulled over for me to pass him. And I was like, oh, I would have been fine just to stay behind you. I don't need to go fast. But then he pulled over, and then it was awkward because then he was right behind me. So what did I do? I sped up and I started going fast down this hill. And there's two places on this trail that have an optional jump line, and I don't jump. My tires, I like them to stay on the ground. I'm not trying to be a Red Bull rampage kind of a gal. And by the time I realized I was on the jump line, which I've ridden this trail a bazillion times, and I just like my brain was distracted. My grandpa's dying. I'm on the jump line and I'm going entirely too fast. And by the time I realize I'm on the jump line, I'm launching off of the jump into the air. And I thought I was going to save it, but I did not save it. And I crashed just spectacularly. So then the man behind me, you know, sees me and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm laying on the trail with my bike on top of me. And I'm like, "I'm just going to lay here for a minute, I think." And he came and he pulled my bike off and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, I was just like, "Go away." I'm so embarrassed right now. And I thought if I just sat there for a minute, like sometimes, it hurts, but it just takes a minute and you're okay. So he left. I finally was like, "No, I'm good. Just go." And then I was like, "Actually, I'm not okay. Like I can't get back on my bike. I can't ride my bike." And I reached up and I felt my shoulder and I was like, I said a lot of words. I was like, "Okay, I know what I've done. I've separated my shoulder, but I'm in the mountains." And so now I have to get out of the mountains before anything else, right? And I can't ride my bike. So I just picked up my bike and I started walking and walking and walking. My arms just dangling to the side of me. And I would come in and out of cell service. So, like, I had cell service and I called my daughter. I'm like, "Hey, just so you know, like, I'm okay, but I'm not okay. And I've crashed." And she's like, "I'll come pick you up." I was like, "I still have about an hour to walk out
Oh
before I'm
my
even going to be
gosh,
to the car."
Anita.
I know. So I ended up, it was about 3 miles that I had to hike out. And finally, two guys stopped and they were like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I'm not okay, but what are you going to do for me?" And they took my bike for me, which was very helpful. And so I could just walk. And I just walked and walked and walked like a pioneer child, Mel. And I was just like, "Don't think about it." Like people were like, "Were you crying?" I was like, "Nope." I was just in the zone. Like just get out of here. Yes, Mel.
So the guys, did
Yeah.
they take your bike? How did they deal with their bikes and your bike?
This is a good question. The one guy put it over his shoulder, my bike over his shoulder, and rode away. And in hindsight, I didn't know his name. Like they could have just stolen my bike. I didn't care. But yeah, I have a picture. I took a picture because I was like, seriously? That's kind of cool that you can do that. They also, the one guy was like, "Did you break your collarbone?" I said, "I don't know if I've broken my collarbone. I've definitely separated my shoulder." And he was like, "Do you want us to put it back in?" And I was like, "Listen."
Nope.
It's like that's you. Let me give you an anatomy lesson of the shoulder because that's a different situation. But I did not give them an anatomy lesson because I was not in the mood. But I was like, that's a different issue. So not a dislocated shoulder, a separated shoulder. Those are two different things. Anyway, So then I just kept walking. I got out. This guy was so nice. He went down to the parking lot. He got my car. He brought my car back to me. He took my shoes off for me, which was so nice, and put my slides on. And then I got in the car and I drove to the hospital,
Oh my gosh.
which was also all of it was just an adventure and a half. And I went and I got my daughter. We work at the hospital, so I drove up there and I said, "Get my bike off the car and put it in the clinic, and then we're gonna go up to the emergency room." I wanted to go to urgent care, but I couldn't. I couldn't keep going. And then finally, when I got to the emergency room, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this hurts so bad!"
Oh my gosh.
And the doctor walked in and he was like, "Oh, you have a separated shoulder." And I was like, "Yes, I know. Will you please take an X-ray and make sure my collarbone isn't broken too?" It's not. I was like, "Good job, Bones. You did it. You're so strong. No broken bones." But it would have been better had I broken a bone, and I didn't. So this was on Friday, and the only thing they did for me was just say, "You got to follow up with a surgeon." But when we were in the hospital, my mom shows up, which is funny because I had not contacted my mom. I had only contacted my brother, and I sent him a text that was not English, but he had interpreted it. It was like, "I have," he was like, "Okay." Anyway, my mom shows up. And my mom is in the room, and she was there much faster than she should have been able to, but apparently she was nearby. And when she got the memo, she came. So I'm in the emergency room, and they say, "We're going to give you a shot of Toradol, which is like a heavy duty anti-inflammatory. It's best if we give it to you in your butt." I said, "Okay." So I stand up and they pull my bike shorts down so they can give me a shot in my butt. And just as they jab me, I hear the shutter of my mom's camera go
What?
click, click.
No.
I go, "Mom, are you taking a picture of me right now?" She goes, "Oh, I just wanted a picture for our Christmas card."
That's even worse. I love it. I want that Christmas card on my fridge.
While they're stabbing me in the buttocks. And she's like, "Well, I didn't get that in the picture." But like the timing was impeccable. And just the fact that her shutter sound is on was chef's kiss. Yes. So anyway, I think I actually sent you the picture that she took. It was from behind and you
Yeah.
couldn't see my butt, but it was funny.
Can I
So
tell you, I don't know if you remember it because you were on drugs, but I think I was going to ask you something. So I was like, "Anita." And you just wrote back, "I'm not okay." And it was these little things, and I figured out something was wrong.
it was
And
probably spelled incorrectly and like spaces in weird places because I was texting one-handed. Yeah.
I didn't know a lot of these details because all that I could piece together is that you walked from the mountains to the hospital.
Oh, no, I
It
did
took
get in
2
my
hours
car.
because I go, "Are you alone? Did you need someone to come?" I go, "Are you alone?" And you're like, "No," because your daughter had gotten there by then. I go,
Yeah.
"Where's your bike?" And you said, "At the hospital." And so I'm like, she walked 2 hours with her bike to the hospital, which is not actually
No, it's
far
not.
off because it's by the mountain sort of ish. And I know
Yeah.
some of the trails area where you ride.
That's why I was like, I'm gonna go to urgent care because I know that they're not really gonna do anything. They're gonna give you a shot of Toradol and tell you to follow up with a surgeon. And I just needed to know if I'd broken a bone or something anyway. But I was like, "No, I can't make it." And the hospital's was the closest thing to the trail I was at.
Oh, that
Um,
hospital.
yeah, I had to
Oh,
cut my sports bra off
oh,
when I got home. That was a sadness, you guys. If you know, you know,
yeah.
sports bras.
Um,
Um, Yes, also it is the hospital that both Jason died at and my sister died at. So that's always fun. But surprisingly enough, I did not care. I was very focused on one thing.
Everybody knows that you only go to that hospital if you like have no other option. Same thing like with my grandma. It's like,
Yeah.
one time I was in an accident and it was after my grandma had colon cancer and she wanted to get her bowels reattached or something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
And
that's the thing.
because she's like, "I cannot deal with this colostomy bag." And so she did it, but they botched it.
Oh,
And so ever since we're like, "Stay away from there. They killed
don't go
grandma."
there.
And so my
They
mom,
killed grandma.
this was when I was 16 and it was a bad accident with a rope swing and I was in so much pain. And my mom was like, we're not
going
going
there.
there. They killed grandma. So we had to go all the way further. It was like 30 minutes farther. But
it's a small hospital. It doesn't have any, like, not a lot of specialties. You know what I'm saying?
So that was also one of the qualifiers that you said. You told me where you were at, and you said, that's how bad I'm in pain.
It is. Yeah. The Toradol didn't even help, just so you guys know. So I come home. I've got this, my arm does not look right. It looked very wrong. And I just was like, it was just bad. And then I was like vacillating between being like, Anita, you're such a baby. Like, people do this all the time. It's a very common injury. But I'm just like, you're such a baby. But I was like a Victorian, like, widow, lying in repose on my bed. Like, I just had to lay down with ice on me, and it was so painful. And then on Saturday, I went to see my grandpa. I loaded myself up in the car and had somebody drive me, and I went and talked to him for a little bit, and he knew who I was. He asked about my shoulder. He knew I'd hurt myself. And then on Sunday, he died, and I was glad that I had gone on Saturday. He passed away in the night. Do you want the funny doll story, Mel?
Always.
So my brother-in-law, Mark, actually was sleeping over that night. I was supposed to sleep over the next night, and I was like, Grandpa, I see what you did there. You died before it was my turn to sleep over because you didn't want to share your morphine with me, because it would have been a little for you, a little for me. But he was not feeling kind that way. But my brother-in-law was there when he passed away, and the mortuary came, and this is more information that you need, but he had been Winnie the Poohing it for many days, meaning shirt, nothing on the bottom, no pants, no drawers. And they were like, well, maybe we should put something on him before they take him away. Like, let's put some pants on him. So he starts going through the drawers. He opens the top drawer, not what he's looking for. Middle drawer, his wife's stuff, who died in 2011, is still in the dresser. So grandma's stuff. Third drawer down, dolls.
Ah,
And the kind of dolls that have the open and closey eyes. So they like open their eyes as the drawer pulls open. He's like, well, Grandpa, you're going with no pants because I can't find any.
The dolls sealed
everywhere.
the deal.
Yes.
Gosh.
Yes. So he died on Sunday. I had surgery. Well, I went to the doctor on Monday, and he was like, "Yeah, you did like a really good job of this. Like, not half-assed. It was a full-assed job of separating my shoulder." So my collarbone was poking up through my trapezius muscle and was like stabbed and stuck in there and was just under my skin. So they had to go get that out. I had to have surgery. I've been in a sling for the last several weeks. My biking season is over. I can't do anything. The only thing I can do is walk straight up the hill, which I have been doing.
Anita, you just said words that doctors use. Would you tell everybody what our daughter Missy reminded you that this injury is called for us lay people?
Oh yes. I forgot about that. That was also on the drug days. The joint that I separated is called you're going to get an anatomy lesson. It's called the acromioclavicular joint. It's where your shoulder blade and your collarbone meet. It's a joint you didn't even know you had until you separate it. So when they come apart, your collarbone sticks up, and it's a special kind of deformity called a piano key deformity. So Missy said that I was just trying to become closer to Mel by having a piano key deformity. And it's like you can push on it and it pushes down like a piano key, and then it pops back up. Except for mine did not, because it was stuck in my muscle. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
When my grandpa said he was done, I was the grandpa whisperer. I would just like talk to him and ask him things that everybody else was scared to. So I just like marched in there one day. I said, Grandpa, who do you want to speak at your funeral? Like, let's figure out what your funeral is going to be like. And he was like, I want you to speak, and I want my 3 kids to speak. And so I was like, okay, great. I didn't take it to be like that he really wanted me to speak, but they were like, you're going to speak at his funeral. So I had surgery on Tuesday, and I spoke at his funeral on Friday.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yep. That's my tales. So
wait. So Randy Randall spoke.
Oh yes.
And
yeah, he spoke.
I want some clips from that.
I can give it to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's the best.
It was good. It was a good funeral. And then they took him away on a horse-drawn carriage thing, which was he was a horseman. So
Oh, I thought,
appropriate.
okay, when you first told me that you go, Mel, my grandpa is dying, and I know because I have the sense.
Yeah,
And
this
you
was
and it
before
was
the hospice.
and it was before, it was in the same week I thought that your, was it your great aunt or somebody, or aunt had a funeral, a bounce house, and you were
Yes.
like, maybe they'll have a funeral at the same time.
They did, and they did. His funeral was on Friday. My great aunt died a year and a half ago, but she had left very specific funeral instructions. She wanted a party. She did not want it to be sad. She wanted the kids to have fun, and she wanted it catered so that no women were stuck preparing food.
Yes.
So we had her thing was all planned, and it included bounce house, cotton candy, snow cones, churros,
Perfection. Perfection.
tacos. I know.
What was her name?
Her name was Sandra.
Sandra, you are my hero, and I know that you stole all those ideas from me because I claimed them first.
But we've practiced once, Mel, so like we know how to do it and do
Okay,
it right.
awesome.
Yeah, so her funeral, her celebration of life was on Saturday. It had been planned for like it'd been in the works for a year. And then my grandpa died on Sunday, and so his funeral was on Friday, and then her funeral was on Saturday.
Gosh.
So it was just like a whole
What
weekend of
what date did your grandpa die? Do you
he
remember?
died on the 7th, June 7th.
So anyway, all of that stuff happened, and I think actually your two things happened before Finn died, because I think Finn died on June 10th. So anyway, the normal, like Anita said earlier, normally when one of us has stuff, then the other can take over, and we still have some episodes that we've recorded that have not come out yet. And so that was what I was going to be doing. It's like, okay, Anita's not going to be okay. We'll be all right for a minute. And then the Finn stuff happened, and then I'm actually out of town still. And now I have two dogs with me for some gig things. So it was just kind of impossible to pull off. So thank you, everybody, and sorry. I'm sorry, Anita. That's like, I'm sorry about your grandpa because he was rad and your best
I'm
buddy.
sad about it. It's weird too because like I feel like you shouldn't be sorry about somebody who's 96 dying. Like you shouldn't feel sad about it, but I'm like very sad about it.
But you
So,
also, like, look, how old are you? 46?
mhm.
And so you've had your grandpa your whole life.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
I'm my grandparents, the last one died when I was 20, I think, 21.
This is my final like grandparent. They're all gone now
So
and
you've had even more year, like
yeah.
your kids knew him and you've had more memories. So
Yes, yeah. And he knew all of his great and great great grandkids. Like better than I did. I can't remember my kids' names. And they would like walk in the room and he'd be like, "Oh, hi," and like know their name, know what was going on with him. So, but Mel, can I share a kind of funny story that happened in the aftermath?
yeah.
Okay. So my dad is the executor of my grandpa's estate. And my dad, we've talked about him. He is single-minded and once he gets a project, the only goal is how quick can I finish this goal?
Hmm.
And I, for the last 20 years, have written the checks for my grandpa's bills. I don't like to say I was his accountant because I was not like keeping track of things. I was not, like saving him money. I was just writing his bills for him, which came about because we lived in their basement apartment when my grandma had dementia and she stopped paying the bills and the power got turned off. So I started paying the bills. Okay. That's part of the reason that we were close is because I've been helping him for this time, which means that I am the keeper of all of the information that my dad needs to execute the will. I am standing between him and the task of maximum efficiency. So already it's been fun. But my dad needed to go to the bank, and I told him I would go to the bank with him. And all of us, everybody who's listening to this podcast, knows how awful it is to do the business of death. You know that you're not going to have the right papers. You think you're prepared. You're not prepared. It's just, it's going to be a long time. So I knew that going to the bank, it was going to be a long and arduous process. So I put on my patient pants and I was prepared to sit at the bank for a long time, which came to pass. And while I was sitting at the bank, while the lady typed, I don't know what she was doing, a man came in and he said, "Hey, loud enough for everybody to hear. There's a guy in the parking lot, and he's about to come in here, and I think he's being scammed. And I just thought you guys should know. He's talking to somebody on the phone, and I just think he's being scammed. And the people who are in the bank are like, okay, thanks for telling us. We will, we'll take care of it. So he leaves, and then another man comes in, and he is loud and unhappy, and he demands to make a wire transfer for $15,000. And the bank has been alerted that this is probably a scam. And so I watched the bank personnel valiantly try to stop this man from transferring $15,000 to a scammer. He was quite, what's the right word? They could not stop him. He was determined. And my dad said, "Oh, I know him." And I'm like, "Oh, what's his name?" He's like, "I don't know," which is classic my dad. But they had used his name a couple times, his last name. They kept calling him, Mr. Whatever. I won't tell you his name, but they were like, you need to make an appointment for these kind of transfers. The right person isn't here. Finally, they were like, this sounds like a scam. Can you tell us what this is for? And he was like, it's none of your business. Like he was just really irate. And I don't know what the scammer told him that made it, important that he do this right now. But I was like texting people. I was like, I'm watching this man be scammed right now. I texted you, Mel, like watching this man be scammed like in real time. And I was like, I'm going to tackle him. I'm just going to tackle him. Like, I can't tackle him. I have a hurt arm, but like, he cannot do this. It was awful. Well, so then they'd said his last name. And I asked my dad, I said, hey, does he live over in such and such area? And he's like, yeah. So I was like, oh, I wonder if he's the dad of this girl I went to high school with. Now, I don't know this, but I decide it's worth a shot. I'm Facebook friends with her. We haven't spoken to each other since high school, basically, but I walked out of the bank and I called her on Facebook Messenger.
Like, how random. I wouldn't answer that.
No, I wouldn't have either. She didn't answer. Like, who would? Like, you just assume that's a mistake because we haven't talked to each other in a long time. So she didn't answer, and I was like, dang. I'm like, I don't even know if it's her dad, but I feel like I got to try. So I sent a message to another friend who I know knows her better, and she didn't get back to me right away either. But when she did, I said, this is the situation. I don't even know if it's her dad. And the friend was like, oh, it's probably her dad. I'm going to call her right now. And I was like, okay, but he already made the transaction and he's gone.
He did?
Yes. So I was like so sad for him because they tried so hard to stop him. And I had not succeeded either. But then, like 30 minutes later, who comes walking back into the bank? The man, the scammed man and his son. And he walks in and he yells, somebody overheard my business and called Kelly. And I was like, oh boy.
Oh my God.
He's mad. So I'm just like, don't, poker face. Don't show any emotion. So the son's like, is there any way we can see if it hasn't gone through? And I'm thinking, no, like once those go, they're gone. But they're like, wait in the seat for the manager. He's with another customer. He'll be out in a few minutes. Well, they sat them behind where my dad and I were sitting. And he's just kind of mumbling and muttering to himself. And he starts saying to me, do you know Kelly? Do you know my daughter Kelly? And I was like, I can't hear you.
Did you lie?
Well, we're not done yet.
Oh gosh. I don't know any of this.
Finally, he goes, I didn't tell you the whole story, Mel. I was waiting. Finally, he goes, Randy, does your wife know my daughter? And my dad turns to me and he goes,
wait, you?
Yeah. He goes, this is my daughter. And then he looks at me and he goes, do you know his daughter? And I'm like, Dad. But my dad has zero idea that I've been like undercover texting and calling people. He doesn't know.
My gosh.
So I turned to the man and I put on a big smile and I said, who's your daughter? And he goes, my daughter's Kelly. He didn't tell me his last name. And I was like, but yeah, I was like, I do know your daughter. Yeah, we went to high school together. And he goes, did you call Kelly?
Oh my
and
gosh.
I go, I haven't talked to Kelly in years. I said, there have been so many people in and out of here today, but it sounds like maybe it's a good thing somebody called Kelly. And then I was like, turned back to what we were doing. And I'm like, Dad, I did call Kelly. And my dad's like, what? So anyway, they took him back into the manager's office. And I'm so surprised. The bank, they talk about things in the open for everybody to hear. It's very funny. Kelly got my phone number after we had left, and she texted me and she was like, thank you so much. They were able to stop the wire transfer.
Oh my gosh.
It had gone through.
Wow.
He had also given them all of his bank account information, and they closed all of his accounts and gave him new ones. So anyway, I was like, I foiled a plot. I did it.
Congrats.
Thank you. Applause. Thank you.
Anita, wait, what was he thinking he was going to get for this?
I don't know. I don't know.
You gotta text Kelly.
Maybe I'll text Kelly and ask
Tell her I said hi.
Okay. Yeah, and then I was like, Mel, I succeeded. And I told her who it was, and she's like, oh yeah, I know them too. I went to school with all of them. So kind of.
And they're awesome. I have to say, the person that I have been around the least is the dad. So I don't really know him.
Yeah. You know what's sad is he's probably going to turn around and do it the next day, because now the scammers know that you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Anyway.
In the closing section of this episode, that brings us to something I wanted to talk about too. Anita?
Tell me. Yeah, tell me.
Gams.
I thought you said gams, like old-timey legs.
Hey, you see those gams on that Anita over there? Did you see the gams on Randy Randall's wife? Is that Anita? I mean, his daughter. Yeah. Oh, guys. The world is insane. And also, I'm sorry to use the words because I hate all of this stuff, but freaking AI stuff is just this whole situation right now. In addition to our already worrisome things that a lot of this stuff has provided, I worry also about widows and people who are unsuspecting victims of some of these things. And so I've kind of been keeping tabs on some of the things that have been going on with tech and AI. And you guys know that I've talked about the music stuff before, and how basically to train AI bots, like they'll scrape music and they take people's music and they are using it to create more music. Yeah. Right? Stealing. So that's been happening. There's lots of lawsuits going on. Warner Chappell's a big player that's going to bat because, of course, they stand a lot or have a lot to lose. And you guys might have heard of how actors are kind of putting the kibosh on stuff because movie studios want to just take their image and likeness and then put it into generative AI and then continue to make money on these actors, when it's like, no, they're using their actual thing that makes them money.
They're gams.
Yeah, they're gams. They're gams. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was one I was reading about too, where it's like I don't remember the name of the program or the actual studio that was using this, but they are going after child actors so that they can use for voice acting, child voice acting, so that they can continue to put it into a speech generator and use it for their own stuff long after the kid has grown up. Yeah. And they monetize it. So there's that. That's for generative AI and creation and stuff like that. And the thing that's interesting, it's like the people that do the art don't necessarily love doing the art because of the end goal. It's the process of the thing. So it's really interesting to talk to some of my students. They're high school. And I go, what do you guys think about this? Is this stuff getting shoved down their throat? And they go, we hate it.
Yep. I was going to say the people who hate it the most are my daughter's age. Like if she sees posters or anything, she is just like, absolutely not.
Yep. I'm the same.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so proud of them. I hope they keep doing that because it's really interesting too, because they're minors and they have such clarity of what it's taking away from them and how stupid it is for it's like the people that are buying into it the most are the older people and the people
they're our age. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And above, there's a fear where they think they have to do it or else they'll lose stuff. So like I've had some interactions with some of those things. Anyway, that's about those kinds of things, right? Like we hear about all that. There's all over the country, there's AI data centers. I won't even get into that. It has radicalized me. I can't deal with it. on the podcast because no one would listen. But
We became
now
are we a widow podcast or
I don't
okay.
know.
Anyway,
Yes,
keep going.
here's what this is going to be bringing me to. Everybody's phones get updates because now, like, how much of the world has an iPhone, or even like this, all the other non-iPhones, whatever, the smartphones, smart TVs, anything that's using those capabilities. And the things that are interesting, it's like if you notice that after you have updates, then your phone is like being sucked dry and like your battery's going down. It's like, well, there are a lot of things hidden deep in the menus that you might not know about. And it's like, widows don't want to deal with this stuff. You're grieving, right? But there's a lot of kind of scary things out there where it's like, it's taking information in from your phone, from what you put in, or if you don't notice the certain little checkbox, or if you have another app on your phone, everything on your phone is subject to privacy violation, basically. And it's not all the time that the box is checked to turn that off. And so you have to go in and like look at certain menus, like privacy and data, even like for Apple Intelligence. I've gone on my phone and just turned everything off. I don't do updates now, but you might notice if you use Google that remember the good old days when you would just type into the search bar, stuff would come up. Now it just says AI overview. None of us had a say in that. So this stuff is being plugged into every single thing that we all use all the time because that's what comes with the updates. So, even smart TVs, like I didn't realize this, but there are certain TVs and they're taking pictures of your screen and what you're watching like every 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and submitting them to Sony or whoever the brand is so that they can know how to, it's all for advertising and monetizing for them, for ads, and how they can best target you. So here's what I want to say to the widows. I know that there are some things where like this is overwhelming, first of all. At the end of the day, when you have a brain that has been through an explosion like death and you're grieving and you're recovering, it's healthy for your brain to have to do the tasks. So obviously there's a lot with AI that's helpful, like, hey, make me this list of stuff from the store, or what did I forget? Cool. But if people in a vulnerable state only rely on that as they're healing and they don't get out of it, that then they're not going to be making those new connections in their brain.
Like AI can't journal for you. AI can't
go to the art camp and pick up the paint and paint with the paint and touch the things. And
do the meditation.
Yeah.
Although they are pushing like AI therapy and things like that too, which is, I don't know, I've seen some funny, not funny Instagram reels where somebody will like start talking to the AI therapist and like the AI therapist is really bad. So that's another thing where I'm like,
I love the funny stuff.
It's funny, but it's also like, it's darkly funny because you're like, actually, this might be a problem if we start relying on that instead of actual humans.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, to interact with. So
yeah, I mean, and it's like a new form of potential isolation. Obviously there's the privacy concerns and blah, blah, blah.
Ironically, yeah.
But
where we stop relying on other humans, and because it's easier just to rely on somebody who isn't going to judge you and is available all the time. And
I mean, and sometimes maybe that's okay. I don't know, but like, I don't know. Be careful. That's just all I would like to say is everybody in a vulnerable state and non-vulnerable state. You never know. We're all humans. We have brains. So like we're imperfect. Anybody can get kind of taken advantage of with some of these things. So just try and beware and remember, if you want to, I don't know, it's so important for our brains to make those new connections by us doing the things.
There's what I think one of the things we've learned in our grief time is there are no shortcuts. Like you can't shortcut your way out of grief. And so when something promises to shortcut it, you know what I'm saying? Like it's always hard because of course there are things that you can do to help and to accelerate and to make it easier for yourself, but you can't skip. You can't just go from here to there without going, through the path. And sometimes I think, I still want to. I want to shortcut everything. I want to shortcut being in this sling. Like, let's just fast forward and be done with, and there is no shortcuts.
Yeah. And just be careful. It's like when you have that stuff, if certain devices are on and listening, which is probably all of them, sensitive information can be taken. We don't know. There's a lot that we don't know. And there's a lot where it's like laws are going to have to be passed. People are going to have to be held accountable. Hopefully. So just be careful.
Don't give your bank account information to anybody.
Do not give AI any of that sensitive information. And also, like, okay, it's not like I've not used it before, right? I've been like, hey, help me make a list of da-da-da. So here's what's funny, though. Inevitably, everything that I've tried of the AI to shortcut things and to make things easier workflow, it's taken me 3 times as long because it does it wrong and it doesn't do it how I want. And there's just a personal element that's not there.
Yeah.
So
it's like raising kids. You're like, you can just do it right if you just do it the first time, or you can spend 4 times as long trying to do it the incorrect way. Yeah. I mean, it's just like a tool, just like anything else. And it's uncharted territory, and we're going to have to figure our way into how to use it appropriately and helpfully, because it is going to be really helpful. It's going to do a lot of things that are going to make our lives easier. And then what's the balance going to be? And we talked about in our scammer episode how it's making it much easier to scam people, because the work that went into some of the processes for scamming people, a human doesn't have to do anymore. You know, a chatbot can be set up to talk with somebody in those romance scams, and their grammar can be pretty good. And so it eliminates some of the things that we used to be able to rely on to help us, you know, ferret out if the person was a real person.
They're like flipping again, because before we would notice it might be a scammer if they spelled stuff wrong, and now it's perfect. And so it's like, well, wait a minute, are you a human or are you a bot? Well, a human might misspell things, and now I'm sure it's going to, you know, they're going to make it so that there's both and you can't tell. So anyway, that's your friendly neighborhood widow, just trying to let y'all know, be careful, and it's okay to not use it, and it's not all a bad thing, but the way that it can be used by some people that are in charge of it and there's not guardrails, that part is, just know that that's still, it's going to be a minute.
Well, okay, so we've had cautionary tales. We've talked about all that's gone on in the last month. And I hope you guys are having a better summer or winter if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. And I'm glad to see that people were still active in the Widow Wives Club, chatting with each other. Come join us in the Widow Wives Club if you'd like to. Just be prepared that you've got to show us proof that you're actually a widow. Yeah, if you want to keep the podcast going, will you check out our Patreon? We so appreciate the people who support us on Patreon. It's patreon.com/WWDN.
If you would like to buy us tacos instead, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/widowwedonoww.
And always, we love a nice rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And we'll be back until we get to talk to you again. I'm Anita.
I'm Mel.
I'm one-armed Anita. And that's two-armed Mel. And we're all just trying to figure out widow.
We
do.
Now.
Mel, can you please tell me how you feel about therapy?
I am so grateful for therapy. I do therapy every single week.
Do you think it's a great tool in the widow's toolbox?
I sure do. I think it's a great tool in anybody's toolbox. And I am so glad that I have stuck with it, because as time goes on, there are more things that I am able to learn about myself. That goes for anything from healing from the death of my husband, to childhood things, to trying to get outside and be social, or trying to address my own certain personality. So yeah, it's really been helpful for me.
We have so many people in the Widow Wives Club who have started using BetterHelp and have amazing reviews. It takes away so many of the barriers to getting great therapy.
I know one of the things that's hard for people, and we get this question a lot, is I need a therapist that does XYZ. Who is a therapist that is going to be widow friendly? And I know that is so hard to find. When I did therapy that was not on this online platform, it was hard. And it's kind of trial and error, kind of like a new medication, honestly, like a new antidepressant. And the way that BetterHelp is set up is it's easy to find somebody that has your specific needs as part of their expertise. And you know what? If you get into a couple sessions with that person and it's not a good fit, it's so easy to change. You can ask some of our friends in the Widow Wives Club. They've changed therapists and gotten one that has been a better fit for them. Well, a lot of them are lucky with who they get first time. I am so grateful for mine. I love her so much, and it's literally changed my life for the better.
This is amazing. So if you guys are wanting to add therapy to your toolbox or need a change in who you're seeing right now, consider checking out BetterHelp. They're one of our sponsors. If you go to trybetterhelp.com/WWDN,
you get 10% off your first month of therapy if you sign up with BetterHelp. And let me tell you, the day that I was in the hospital with my dad when he was dying, I was able to instant message with my therapist, and she checked on me all throughout the week. And I was not available for video sessions for a lot of those times because there were things we were dealing with, like mortuary stuff, and I was still able to be in contact with her. So they're very, very responsive, caring. It's such a great platform, and I recommend it to anybody who is looking for therapy.
Once again, it's trybetterhelp.com/WWDN.
And that's for 10% off your first month of online therapy.
You don't even have to wear pants, Mel.
I know this.
First-hand experience.
You can even wear a onesie.
Or a twosie.
Ooh, scary. All right, bye!